See, the idea is in any React program, you have app.js, right? And app.js for in our program here, which we will know, app.js will call a component new expense, and then new expense will call expense form. Okay, so you have known how you will pass data from app.js to new expense and new expense to expense form using props. You simply know that some variable can be wrapped around this curly braces, and in whichever component we want to call, there we'll tag it with this expense new or new expense tag, and then we can call it. Okay, but turns out you can also uh, pass a function here instead of any variable. That means if you want to get the data from expense form back to app.js or to new expense, what you will do in new expense, you will call the expense form but with a function that can be used in expense form also, which will set some value, and that value can be captured in new expense. So you can pass data from child to parent. I'll show you how. So
Edit through the on.
so for example, if you go to photos, screen captures, okay, this is how you pass the normal data. Okay, this is how you pass the normal data. Line number 39. Expense is a variable. You are calling it in app.js here. App.js, if you see app.js, you generated some expense, and that you are passing into new expense. Now, suppose in new expense, you want to get some data from expense form, which is here. Expense form is being called by expense new expense form here. Okay, so what you will do in line number here, if you see line number 16 and all, you are capturing a value from a function save expense data handler. Okay, here, and that you are passing as a prop to expense form here. Okay, line number 17. So expense form, instead of passing a prop as a variable, you are passing a function or a pointer to a function like save expense data handler, and that will be captured in on save expense data. And in that, what you are doing in save expense data handler, whatever entered expense data is there, that will be line number 9, 10, and 11. You are saying that will be merged with the entered expense data, means current expense data. This triple dot means it will be merged. Merged means previous thing will be there and new thing will be added, which will be new expense data. And one extra thing, math random string is done. Okay, now this you have given as a provision to get data from expense form, because in expense form this HTML tag of or JSS tag of expense form, you are calling save expense data handler, this thing, and you have given its functionality that if somewhere in this expense form, if you give some argument to save expense data handler, what it will do? It will simply merge the previous expense data with the entered expense data here in the line number 7, which is passed as an argument where my mouse is hovering. Now if you go to expense form, okay, to go to expense form, I'll show you in a video only. You go to expense form, okay. Yeah.
On save expense data and
When you go to
execute
expense
it here.
form, you see here
And that's now important. Now I
951.
execute it. I
You
can
can call
execute it because the value
props.onSaveExpense
which we
data.
get on this
Here props.onSaveExpense data, which was the function you defined there. Okay, if you call it and you call it with expense data here, this line number 45 const expense data as an argument in the props.onSaveExpense data, you will be able to pass this expense data from form component, new form component, to the new expense component. So this is how you transfer data from child to parent. I hope you understood. Thank you.